millions of Americans are receiving help to fund their college education, the Office of Federal Student Aid offers $120 billion in federal grants, loans, and work-study funds each year. And joining me to talk about important financial aid deadlines is Fresno City College Financial Aid Assistant, Jeanette Quiros. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, we mentioned that there are a lot of different ways that students can get help in paying for their college education, right? So tell us, let's start off with FAFSA. What is it?
FAFSA is an application that students use to apply to receive federal student aid. So we use the FAFSA application as a tool to see how much financial aid a student can receive.
Okay. So with this one application, they can get money from more than one source?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that.
So we use the FAFSA to see if they're eligible for state financial aid and federal student aid.
Okay.
So the federal student aid is where you see your Pell Grants and your federal work study, and the state aid is where you see your Cal Grants and your college-based aid, like the Board of Governors fee waiver, just to name a few different grants.
Okay. And so in order to get any of those other ones or any of these that you mentioned, you need to have filled out an application, right, for FAFSA?
Correct.
It's kind of what leads the way to everything else.
Yes.
I know we will always talk about this FAFSA deadline. It's very important, and I know counselors in all the high schools and whatnot are always reminding the students. Tell us about that deadline.
Yeah, and it's not a set deadline, so we like to tell students that there is an important deadline called the March 2nd deadline, so you want to fill out your FAFSA before then. But that's just to make sure that you qualify for all the types of financial aid that you might be eligible for.
Okay.
You can still apply after. So it's important to know that if the March 2nd deadline passes and you haven't done your FAFSA application, rest assured you can still submit one.
Okay. And I know that you work for Fresno City College, but of course FAFSA also applies to anyone going to any, is it to any state college?
No, it's actually to any eligible state school that is eligible to fund Title IV aid. Okay. So there's a lot of different types of colleges that can disperse financial aid to students using the FAFSA application.
Got it. And we're not just talking also about incoming freshmen, right? We're talking also about it's an application that students fill out every year while they're in college?
Exactly. So every year you have to fill out a FAFSA application if you intend to go to school that academic year. So it's important to know, don't just do it one time, do it every year. The application opens every October. And I do want to mention that FAFSA is just an application for U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens to fill out. We also have the California DREAM Act application, which is another tool that we use to see what students are, if students who are undocumented are eligible to receive state-funded aid only.
I see. Okay. And I do want to talk a little bit more about that, but just so that we clear all this up, what kind of information are students going to have to provide when they're filling out that FAFSA form?
That's a great question. Students are asked for their demographic information, like their social security number. They're also asked for their parental information. So if a student is under the age of 24, more likely than not, they're going to have to include their parent information on their FAFSA application. So it's important to also get their parents' social, their dates of birth, their marital status if their parents are married, the student's marital status if the student is married.
And the typical social security and whatnot. I think we're looking at the website now. That's what the FAFSA website looks like, and that's where folks need to go to fill it out. And so I know that you always hear, or that you often hear from students that say, oh, I think maybe my parents make too much money, there's no point in filling it out. But again, there's a lot of, isn't there a lot of scholarships that are not necessarily based on that, right?
That's correct. So a lot of scholarships want students to have an application on file just to see if they qualify for that specific scholarship, and it's not necessarily based on your need. A lot of the times, too, students may think that they don't qualify because their parents make a lot of money, but there's a lot of factors that go into determining whether a student is eligible for financial aid or not. So you might be surprised to find out that you actually are eligible for at least some type of aid. So it's always important to apply because really there's nothing to lose. It's just an application just to see if you're eligible.
Okay, and very quickly, if you can tell us, what is the Board of Governors fee waiver that you mentioned?
So the Board of Governors fee waiver is given to students who attend California community colleges. And what that does, it waives students' enrollment fees so they don't have to pay for the classes they're taking. And they don't have to do a separate application for this. If they do the California DREAM Act application or if they do the FAFSA application, it is awarded automatically to the student.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned about recipients of DACA. The students that were brought here when they were younger that don't have documents, that are not here legally. So tell us a little bit about what kind of financial aid they can get, because I was under the understanding they don't get federal, but they are eligible for others, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, DACA, students who have DACA or they're undocumented but fall under the AB 540, they can do a DREAM Act application, and that allows them to receive state-funded aid. So they are eligible to receive a Cal Grant or campus-based funds, like the Board of Governors fee waiver.
Okay. And just before we go, tell us what kind of, if folks have any questions, I know you're over at Fresno City College, so what kind of help or advice do you offer on campus?
Yeah, at Fresno City College, we have a lab in our library in room LI 123 where they can go and apply for financial aid and get help with filling out any documentation that they might need to turn into our main office.
Okay.
Our main office is located at our Student Services building, and we're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. They can get help at the lab Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. We also have a Dream Center for our DREAM Act students that need help with anything related to DACA or even just the DREAM Act application itself.
Okay.
We have a place for them to get help as well, and that's located in our old administration building in room 137.
Okay. And one final thing, what would you say to students? Because I know that a lot of times many students hesitate and they procrastinate. They don't know if they're going to get any money anyway or whatnot, but so many reasons why sometimes students don't go ahead and fill it out, and it's so important. So what message would you send to them?
I would tell students, fill out your FAFSA as soon as possible, even if you think you're not going to qualify or even if you think you're not going to attend school. It's always good just to have your FAFSA application there. So it can be that little incentive if you might want to go to school one day and you get help, and that's going to be the thing that's going to give you that push to go. Do the FAFSA application. It's the easiest thing, and you get a lot of help. There's a lot of help. So if you're not even going to go to Fresno City College, for example, you can always go to the school that you're interested in attending, and they can help you fill out your FAFSA as well.
Well, thank you very much, Jeanette. That is great information. Hopefully you will be getting a lot of calls and certainly lots of students out there filling out that form.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here with us. And again, you can fill out the free application for student aid or FAFSA at fafsa.ed.gov. And for questions regarding Fresno City College, you can go to fresnocitycollege.edu. You can also call FCC Financial Aid Office at the number on your screen, 442-8245. We'll have that information and other helpful links at abc30.com. Just search for Latino Life.